Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. As Nigeria's 2023 presidential election draws near, candidates of different political parties have begun to unveil their manifestos. Presidential candidates of the ruling party, All Progressives Congress Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the opposition People's Democratic Party PDP, Atiku Abubakar, are some of the candidates who have revealed their blueprints for the country if elected. Tinubu's manifesto, tagged Renewed Hope 2023 Action Plan for a Better Nigeria, focuses on national security, economy, power, agriculture, education, healthcare, among others. He says building on the foundation laid by the current government, his administration will export more and import less, generate, transmit and distribute sufficient and affordable electricity, end the controversial petrol subsidy gulping millions or trillions of naira annually, and also tackle the forex crisis hindering the economy if elected president next year. As a solution to the nation's security problems, Tinubu promised the deployment of modern technology, tools and equipment for the nation's security personnel, as well as the establishment of critical infrastructure protection plan. The opposition party, on the other hand, through its candidate Atiku Abubakar, hopes to privatize all government-owned refineries, open the power sector to private investments, and raise the country's GDP per capita to $5,000 by 2030. He also plans to create 3 million new jobs, leave 10 million poor Nigerians out of poverty every year, and reduce food import share from the current estimation of 20% to between 5 and 10%, among others. Now, the manifestos look fantastic on paper, but whether the candidates can realistically deliver on them is a different question altogether. And that's what we'll be discussing next. Joining me on the program right now to take a closer look at this is economist Paul Alaje. Mr. Alaje, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Quite an exciting time in Nigeria. I mean, it's heating up politically now, and you've heard some of these candidates. Not all of them, of course, have come up with their manifestos, but the major ones, the ones we consider the front runners, have actually come out with their manifestos. And those who have actually not come out with their manifestos have actually been talking. So you clearly have an idea of what their manifestos would look like when they come out. That's if at all they come up with any document. You listen to my intro and all of that. Tell us, what is the difference between manifesto now and reality when it comes to governance?
Well, a lot of difference. I've seen candidates say that they are going to ensure that they lift people out of poverty, 10 million. Recall that the incumbent government has also said that was going to lift people out of poverty.
This government actually said it's
going to have 10 million Nigerians be lifted out of poverty on an annual basis by the current government. But what did we see? What we saw, rather, that every year, about 5 million people on the average are getting into poverty. Desire is different from plan. Desire is different from work. Desire is different from reality. At best, I've seen some of things in these two manifestos, for that of the APC and the PDP. While the PDP put private sector first and said virtually all government refineries should be given to private sector, hoping that private sector will provide jobs and help also reduce poverty level in Nigeria. What has not been said is why with the platform, the environment for private sector to thrive, because that party might also be looking at how do we at the same time remove subsidy and expect people's income and people's performance to significantly improve. On the part of the APC have said it's going to remove multiple taxes, multiple FX, is going to remove it so as to encourage investment, which is the same thing that the PDP candidate is also saying. He wants to operate FX regime that will make funds to flow into Nigeria. The APC is also talking about fuel subsidy removal. Yes. I doubt if any of these two candidates we have the muscle to remove fuel subsidy as we have it today in absolute terms.
And I'm happy. Sorry for interjecting, and I'm happy you brought that up, because I was going to ask you how easy you think that will be, because let's not also forget that before this government, the current government, came to power, it also promised that it was going to do away with fuel subsidy. In fact, during the campaigns, President Buhari actually said that there was nothing like petrol subsidy. There was a scam. We've heard, for instance, the candidate of the Labour Party, whose party, of course, is against the removal of subsidy, coming out to say he's going to remove subsidy and has described it as a scam. So do you think, when you listen to them, do you think in reality they are going to find this easy to do?
Well, they have so many things to deal with. They will have many challenges. And I've said it during President Buhari, when he said he was going to remove subsidy. I was very clear to say that he will not, he's a general, but he will have the capacity to remove subsidy. And today, we all know that subsidy is still very much present. So people should ask, why do I think that most of these are politicians don't have the capacity to remove subsidy? It is a lack of economic sense by themselves. To understand the economy for themselves is a major challenge why subsidy removal will be a challenge. Number one, some of these leaders don't understand the kind of poverty the people are wallowing in. If you say that you remove subsidy and you expect civil service to show up at work, where their transport fare would improve by increase by 300%, just how do you expect them to show up at work as at Wendy? Private sector is already going through a lot from diesel. When you remove subsidy, absolutely. What will they now be going through? Now, the question is there real subsidy to balance the argument? I will tell you that there is no subsidy in the real sense of it. What we have is poor management of the economy, and that is why we are talking about subsidy removal. Let me explain it very carefully.
Okay.
You are a journalist. In 2015, what was exchange rate? If exchange rate were to be what it was in 2015 or what it was in 2016, and fuel subsidy, government says it's paying XYZ amount for subsidy, there will be no subsidy, because if you liberalize the market, the price of PMS cannot be more than 170, 180. It is because of poor management of FX, that is exchange rate for Nigeria. That is why people need to pay more. With the recent devaluation, you will see that government will even increase what is paying in subsidy. 3 trillion naira. That is bigger than the budget of Lagos State. At least what they did 2 years ago. 3 trillion naira is bigger than the entire budget of a geopolitical zone, one of the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. 3 trillion naira. That is only for 6 months in subsidy. So subsidy is bad, but unfortunately, as I see today, this November 2022, government has not prepared the ground, the platform for subsidy removal.
So you think
you need a minimum period of 6 months to 1 year to prepare for that subsidy to really be removed.
So you think that the candidates don't really understand what's before them?
In fact, if you put them face to face and say, when you remove subsidy, what do you expect? Let them answer. You are journalists. They don't understand what they are talking about. Obasanjo wanted to remove subsidy. With all the military general, he succumbed. Who will remove subsidy? President Buhari, we believe that he's so strong, an ex-military general who was in power as military head, and President Buhari has not been able to deliver a subsidy removal.
Okay, let's quickly talk about the exchange rate now, because, I mean, you've had almost all the candidates condemn the current situation we have now, and almost all of them are saying the same thing, that they're going to address our forex policy. You listen carefully to them. They've all said that this whole idea of multiple exchange rate they're going to do away with it. And if you pay closer attention, you get the impression that they are talking about, they might be thinking about floating the currency. And I don't really know. I don't know. Of course, they would have to come up with their own central bank governors, and those governors will have to come up with their own monetary policy committee and all of that. But do you think in reality this is something that is just going to be easy for them to deal with?
They are talking about fire. They are playing with fire. See, if they float Naira beyond what you have now, there will be major crisis. And I like to use this analogy. It's like calling Anthony Joshua versus Debo, popularly known as Mr. Macaroni, for them to come and engage in a boxing contest and see who will win. In this case, the comedian represents Nigeria, while Anthony Joshua represents the rest of the world. Before the beginning, if you go and watch the match, you are wasting your money. What do we produce? People forget to understand that what gives your local currency strength is a function of your exports and your imports. What are we producing, for God's sake?
Well, they say they are going to do something about that.
Sir,
That they're going to ensure import increases, and
the best you can do is to float. When you float, it's going to affect if we go back, it becomes a roller coaster. That means your subsidy removal, you will need to do more, either to give subsidy if you are operating subsidy regime. If you are not operating subsidy regime, your people will have to pay more. So you see, the real solution to Nigeria problem is development. If you don't develop enough to attract large sum of investment enough, for you to grow power sector significantly enough, for you to have robust sectors and industry, you are just going to patch it. Unfortunately, patching it will not last. And this is what I'm hearing from almost all the candidates.
Yes, and because you talked about...
until they do the right thing, I'm sorry, it won't work.
And because you talked about power too, I think we have to talk about that, because it's also a major topic for all the candidates. All of them are talking about it. All of them are saying they are going to increase generation. And as we speak today, I know generation is not in the hands of the government. It's actually in the hands of the private sector. They say they're going to increase generation. They're going to increase transmission as well. And distribution is going to improve as well. I know distribution, of course, is in the hands of the private sector and all of that. So I'm just wondering, you understand the power sector very well. You understand the economics of it and the current arrangement we have now. You've listened to some of these candidates, almost all of them, speaking on the issue of power. From what you have heard them say, what's your take?
Well, I've heard a number of them. Some of them are communicating to the real issues, liberalizing that market, because what was done earlier, it was not properly privatized. In fact, the former government made a major mistake. All the funds paid by private sector, rather than investing it in power sector, they used it to pay pensions and gratuity. And those that were paid to go, they resumed back the following month because the new buyers could not have managed the business without them. Unfortunately, we find ourselves here. So some of them are saying they will review the agreement. Some of them are looking for competent organization within the sector to come and help them. I think it's the way to go. And I think this is what many of them are saying. Anything they can do to make power sector improve, I believe it's achievable. I believe it's possible. I believe it's the foundation of the development of our country, without which there will be no future.
Oh, okay. And tax reform. You've heard them speak on tax reform, that they're going to, as we speak today, less than 15 million Nigerians pay tax, from what you've heard them say, and even from what the current government too is doing to improve the numbers now. What difference do you think some of these candidates will make if they eventually get elected, based on what they have said?
I think they need to first invest. I think they first need to invest in data. They need to invest in data. When you talk about 15 million Nigerians, talk about 250 million Nigerians. Mark you, 42% of Nigerians are living below poverty line. How do you tax somebody who is already below poverty line? So when you compare that with the absolute population and you look for the remainder, how many of them are within the labor force? You see that the current government has not even done badly in tax matters at all. When you compare the population of people that are poor, people that are wallowing in poverty, 42%, when you also compare that with the total number of people that are willing and able to get job, which is very low, that is the labor force. Less than 70 million Nigerians are within the labor force, the remaining are dependents. So when you compare the entire population, it will not be a right comparison, because people within the labor force are those that will pay taxes. So when you look at the number compared to those that are poor, you know that what government is doing at 15 million is not bad at all in terms of taxation. If you want to earn more in taxes, you must bring up development. Countries that are living on taxes, they are doing a lot in terms of development. Nigeria is not earning a lot from taxes with the rest of Africa because we are doing very poorly in terms of developing the country.
Paul Alaje, I think that's where we'll just have to leave it. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for those analysis.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll come back to continue the conversation. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.